Safe to Serve family, first-time viewers, welcome to this midday power surge, your spiritual oasis on this pilgrim journey. I'm your host, Andrew Henriquez. Welcome one, welcome all to this midday power surge. Let's get right into it, shall we? I'm going to share with you proof that these tyrants are actually sacrificing people in order to implement their mark of the beast system. And this will lead to the mark of the beast crisis, which is the enforcement of Sunday worship by law with persecution for God's commandment-keeping people. That is not my opinion. That's based on the Bible. Revelation 13, whole chapter, and chapter 14 of Revelation, the whole chapter. Well, my friends, this is nothing new. When I speak about human sacrifice, it's nothing new. Later on, I'm going to ask you for various scriptures, various scenes in the Bible where you find heathens actually perpetuating human sacrifice to get their tyrannical agenda accomplished. Well, my friends, there is a colloquial saying in America and even elsewhere that says, never let a good crisis go to waste. So when I see this particular incident, event in America, I am going to use this opportunity, use that current event as a teaching moment. What am I talking about? I am addressing the attack that was made on the two members of the U.S. National Guard and how that is a great possibility. It was actually a human sacrifice. Watch carefully. Please don't miss this lesson. Clip one.
Two members of the West Virginia National Guard on crime-fighting duty in Washington, D.C. were shot and critically wounded today. They were ambushed just blocks away from the White House. CBS News captured the immediate aftermath of the shooting right there. A suspect was wounded and taken into custody and is now in the hospital.
Let's stay right there, preacher, and go to clip number two.
Homeland Security and Justice correspondent Nicole Skenga is following the very latest with this investigation. Nicole, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. The shooting took place just 2 blocks north of the White House while the president was in Florida to celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. U.S. officials tell CBS News this was a targeted attack.
This was a targeted attack.
A horrific scene in broad daylight in downtown Washington this afternoon. 2 National Guard members lying on the ground, shot in what officials describe as an ambush-style attack. Cell phone video shot from above show the moments just after the shooting happened, with first responders on the scene immediately.
The suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm and discharged at the National Guard members. The National Guard members, there were other members that were in the area. They were able to, after some back and forth, able to subdue the individual and bring him into custody.
Law enforcement sources say there were 10 to 15 shots fired. The suspect was shot 4 times and remains in critical condition. The 2 Guard members, also in critical condition, were part of the West Virginia National Guard, the governor said. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard community.
When this account and story broke on the media, I was thinking about addressing it, but I did not know the proper perspective. If I'm simply going to regurgitate the reports from the news, I'm no different than a talking head and news anchor on the media. So as I prayed and contemplated the perspective, God gave it to me from the Bible. And that is where we're going today. But before I get there, this is very, very important. Take a look at the update since that attack. On the right of the screen, suspect in DC shooting of 2 National Guard members formally charged with murder. Suspect in the DC shooting of National Guard members, he now pleads not guilty. Now let that sink in. That's the first update. The second one I want to share with you is, why is it that in the media we're being told that this perpetrator allegedly has a CIA connection? Headline: the DC shooting suspect was part of what? That raised my alarm. My spiritual antennas were extended. I smelled the rat. Now, let that sink in for a minute. Why that agency? I won't keep naming it because of media of the beast. You understand that? Why that agency? Why? Do you know that there are several black operations, meaning secret operations, that has been leaked decades ago, wherein there are black op sites where they actually use NLP, let me say it that way, hypnotize individuals to carry out brazen attacks, bold atrocities on society. And then they can program those people's minds to do what they want to do and to say what they want to say. That's called NLP. That's called brainwashing. That's called hypnotism. That is a fact. That's not hyperbole. It's not fiction, not fake news. It's not misinformation or disinformation. It's a fact. And once they carry out the heinous crimes, they become the fall guy. They then become disposable, dispensable. Yeah. And the ones, the tyrants who have blood on their hands, are never held accountable for their inimical crimes against society. Never. It's a fact. And because I'm right now on media of the beast, it's difficult to get into that murky water. But those of you who are intelligent about these historical events can confirm those aforementioned points. Let me add, that same agency with that acronym, do you know it is connected to the papacy? This is a Catholic media outlet. Catholic Intelligence Agency. It also has the name Catholics in Action. Mercy. I am not saying, please do not misquote me, December 3rd, 2025. I'm not saying that this crime that occurred is actually a human sacrifice. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it appears to be such. I'm going to prove it. And there is a difference. A difference. Normally, you can tell if there has been tyrants behind the scenes that inflicted a crisis. How? What were the policies before the attack? What were the policies that were unpopular before the crisis? And what are the policies after the crisis? If they are the same, the tyrants are guilty. Have you ever heard of problem, reaction, then solution? They manufacture the problem. Society then have a negative reaction. And then they step in with their so-called solution. And the very ones, let me get great controversy here. You watch this. And the very ones, great controversy. And the very ones that stand up in society and say, here are the solutions, are the very ones who are guilty of manufacturing the problem, the crisis, the murder, the crimes, the atrocities in the first place. Watch this. If I don't confirm this, do not come back to Midday Power Surge. Don't follow us again. In the book Great Controversy, page 589, it says this: while appearing to the children of men as a great physician who can heal their maladies, he will bring disease and disaster until populous cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. Even now, he's at work in accidents, in calamities by sea and by land, in great conflagrations, etc., etc. Destruction will be upon both man and beast. Now that in the primary sense, it's Satan, the very one who claims to say, here are the solutions, is the same person, the same person that brought the disease and the disasters. Now, through whom does Satan work? Can Satan work autonomously? Of course. But can he work through human instrumentalities? Yes. How do we know for certainty? Look at the genuine. Does Christ work by himself without human assistance? Oh, sure. But does Christ also work through humans to get his agenda accomplished? Yes. So as with Jesus, so with the devil. If that point is clear, put in the comment section a nail in a sure place. Let's come to this now. The statement, never let a good crisis go to waste.
President Trump in Florida for Thanksgiving posted that the shooter will, quote, pay a very steep price. He's ordering 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C.
Stop right there. Beloved, was there a division among Americans before this attack? Listen. President Trump and his allies, through executive order, rolled out this policy. Let's place National Guard members and, in some instances, military personnel in the crime-ridden cities of America, especially in D.C. and Chicago. It was very unpopular. It led to division in America. Now, let's be clear. One quick qualification. I don't support crime in America. And secondly, right now, I won't debate that executive order. I won't. But here's the point. That was the policy before the attack. And because it was unpopular, so much so, it's on record, President Trump began to pull back the amount of National Guards on the streets, military on the streets, the cities of America. He began to reduce the number. But since the attack, the numbers are now increasing. Just imagine a police state in America where military personnel are staged at every corner in America. Question, would that not be a part of the mark of the beast system? Not the mark of the beast, but the mark of the beast system, a police state, a military state. How would they know who is compliant, who is non-compliant? How would they then be? How would it be easy for them to accost, to capture, and remove those who are non-compliant to the mark of the beast policies? A police state, interrogation, inquisition at every corner in every city. Watch this. For those who are partisan, let me give you a wake-up call. These two parties, the donkey party and the elephant party, they represent two wings of the same unclean bird. Because the media tells us that it was the policies of the donkey party that created the crime-ridden cities. And here comes the elephant party now to clean things up. Problem, reaction, solution. And the end goal is slavery. So could this have been a human sacrifice? Once this is done, both parties, the people, are going to have compassion. Because many are going to say, from the donkey party or elephant party, that could have been my son in the National Guard. That could have been my daughter in the National Guard. See my point? Yes. It brings them all together. Human sacrifice to get the agenda accomplished. Again, I'm not saying it was, but my friends, I smell the rat. It could have been a human sacrifice to get the tyrannical agenda implemented, the mark of the beast system implemented. Watch this. And listen attentively the words of Trump and Pete Hegseth.
President Trump called the suspect an animal who will pay a steep price. And according to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, called for 500 more National Guard members to be deployed inside the city.
That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. We will not stand.
Over 2,100 National Guard members have been on duty in Washington since the president ordered the deployment in August.
Please.
Do you see it now, friends? That last portion of that clip confirmed what I just said. What were the policies before the attack? And what are they now after the attack? That's when you're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Is that point clear? Never let a good crisis go to waste. Now, I'm going to play the clips and then make two statements. Number one, what were the other policies that were unpopular by the elephant party, President Trump, his allies, that are now put in place with greater aggressiveness to again confirm with proof this could have been a human sacrifice? If you know, put it in the comment section. Then secondly, I'm going to ask of all of you, no, let me hold that point, lest I give it too much at once.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
Okay. That clip is about 30 seconds. I played the whole clip, lest you accuse and charge me of cutting things up to make a point that is fictional. Beloved, let us analyze that clip right now. Watch carefully.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden.
Notice. Not only remove aliens from that country, but every other country. Mercy. Do you realize how that was slipped in? Y'all missed that. One more time.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden.
Stop. How many of you in the comment section are for law and order? Raise your hand in the class. We're in class. Give me a thumbs up. Type the words, I'm for law and order. As long as, caveat, long as it's based on scripture. I'm for law and order. Who could be against that? But now watch. Notice what he slips in. Watch carefully.
And we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country.
Remove any alien from any country. Now, when people heard that, they're thinking illegals or aliens. Do you know people who have a green card, who are residents, are called aliens? On the screen. Yes, a green card holder is an alien in the US, but a quote unquote lawful, one more time, lawful permanent resident alien. Mercy. That was slipped in. Stop. Some people will not catch it. Number one, what does removal mean? It means you are banished from a country. Question. What happened in the genesis of the US? So we can understand the ending of the US. Was there a crisis over folks being banished from countries who were actually lawful and legal residents and citizens? Yes. They came from the old world, the Puritans, the Pilgrims. They came to America. That was the beginning of America. So how would the end look? As it was, so it is. As it was, so shall it be. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. So Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Is the stage being set right now that even lawful aliens, listen, if you don't go along with a particular policy that's coming and policies that comprise the mark of the beast system, now there is precedent to remove you from America. But I'm lawful. I'm illegal. Doesn't matter. If you don't go along with our agenda, we can now remove you. And how many people will have hindsight? 2020. Oh, it was that crisis. Mercy. It was that attack at the U.S. Capitol that was or one off the crises that led to this policy. Mercy. Mercy. So could it be that they're sacrificing people in order to implement the mark of the beast system? And we're told in the book Great Controversy, I quoted that on yesterday, that families were broken up when they left the old world. Some were thrown into prisons and jails. Families broken up. The saints of God, it's coming again. So this was a policy before the attack on the guardsmen, the two of them, one male, one female. And the policy has now, can I say, the policy that was before has now become worse. Not only from 1 or 19 countries. No. Because 19 countries were listed. 19. But Mr. President said, from any country. Watch carefully.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people.
We are not going to tolerate, accommodate, keep within our borders those who are against law and order. Come on, Safe to Serve. What quote comes to your mind? In the last days, seventh-day Sabbath-keeping people are going to be labeled as what? Enemies of law and order. Great Controversy, page 592. It's right there. It's right there. Andrew, never let a good crisis go to waste. So I'm using this current event to remind you of what is to come. I'm using this current event to tell you what is to come. They are using human sacrifices to implement the mark of the beast system. Watch carefully. Page 590 of the same book, The Great Controversy. We are going to be blamed for deaths in America because some of you may have not seen the correlation. But Pastor, that man allegedly attacked 2 members of the National Guard. One I heard died. Don't quote me. One I heard died. Watch carefully. How does that apply to us? Because when the calamities and disasters become more frequent and more disastrous in America, and the Sunday law is enforced, those of us who spurn, and others who abjure Sunday worship by law and hold fast to God's true Sabbath, the 7th day of the week, commonly called Saturday, are going to be called and labeled as responsible for the thousands of deaths in America. So we are going to be labeled as enemies of what 2 things? Law and order. Case closed. If that is clear so far, those who are live in the comment section, punch in the words with your fingers, a nail in a sure place. Let's take one more analysis of Trump's speech post the attack.
Here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
Those of you who are live in the comment section, what crisis do you remember in America that caused leaders, politicians, church leaders to say, if you don't go along with the policy, the mandate of the government, you don't love our country. You don't love your neighbor. Come on, talk to me. Come on, talk to me. What was that crisis? It was the pestilence 19 pandemic. The stage is being set. If you don't go along with our policy, you don't love our country. And if you don't love our country, that means you're destroying our country. Do you recall what they said about SDAs in the 1880s? The Washington Post. Hey, preacher man, don't go there. Let me find that statement right here. The Washington Post actually said, come on, that Seventh-day Adventist who refuse to worship on Sunday and abjure the seventh-day Sabbath don't love America. Red words at the bottom. They are against America. They want to destroy America. That's the Washington Post in 1888. When a Sunday law was being introduced in the U.S. Senate, Congress. I don't play games here, my friends. Never, back to me, preacher. Never, let me go back to where I was. I simply had to go find those two statements there. Playtime is over, said Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer. Again, I'm giving you proof. They are using human sacrifice to implement the mark of the beast crisis. Let's confirm that, shall we?
Here or
on the screen. Let's hear him one more time. Listen.
Here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
Look at the verb top paragraph. The idea that getting inoculated in the pandemic is an act of loving your neighbor, quote unquote, has been a prominent argument. A what argument? Not only by churchmen, but civil leaders. Headline, a governor said, roll up your sleeves. Give us your arm. Take this elixir and show you love your neighbor. Where are your neighbors? Beside you. And they comprise the country. They make up the country. You don't love your country. This is WHO. Roll up your sleeve. It's right there. Roll up your sleeves. Take this inoculation to show you love your neighbor. I'm giving you proof, my friends, that this may have been a human sacrifice to implement the mark of the beast system. And if it's not, I'm on record. If it was not, I'm on record right now telling you, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use that event to remind you, some of you, and to tell the rest of you what is coming, that they will use human sacrifice to implement the mark of the beast system. Hear me. When the mark of the beast system is enforced, stop right there. Let me give you some work, class work. Those of you who are live right now in the comment section and have been vigilant in watching current events fulfill end time prophecies, one question for you. Can you recall any serious crisis in America that was a form of human sacrifice to implement a tyrannical agenda against Americans? Let me further amplify the question. Can you recall any incident that led to scores, tens, scores of people dying, hundreds dying, thousands of people dying, and then the solution to that reaction, problem and action, were policies that restricted civil liberties and also religious liberties? If you can recall any such crisis, put it in the comment section. Because I'm going to prove today, again, that tyrants, civil leaders, church leaders are using human sacrifice to implement and roll out the mark of the beast system. Number one, watch this. I'm going to give you number one that connects the attack on the National Guards in Washington, D.C. a few days ago. They told us the perpetrator allegedly hails from which country? Okay. And what is the major religion in that country? What happened September 11, 2001? Huh? Come on. What happened? And the media blame which country? Countries. And what was the predominant religion of said countries? Lord have mercy. You're seeing a pattern. A pattern. Huh? And they quickly wrote out the Patriot Act. Proof. Human sacrifice. On the screen right there, my friends. On the screen. Top left. That's it. Pause the video, read that. And that law restricted religious and civil liberties. And that law is still in effect in 2025. Approximately 25 years ago. And they're building upon that act, and they call it Patriot. What a slap in the face. Patriot? Well, here's my version. They'll call you a patriot only if you give up your rights. And if you don't, you are not a patriot. You see it now? You are against America, against our country. A betrayer. That's it. You are a fanatic, extremist. You see it now? A terrorist. Look at the screen right there. The very same article. Now they wrote out intrusive, abusive surveillance. Your constitutional rights are now in jeopardy since 2001. Beloved, how many folks died in New York City? Do I have it here? Let those pictures remind you. That was human sacrifice. Stop right there, friends. Some folks aren't getting it. Let me remind you. So based on end time prophecy, the end result is slavery of mankind. The tyrants under Satan enslave the masses. And the tyrants point to Babylon, the papacy, and her allies. Civil leaders, other church leaders, and the merchants of the earth. Slavery. Chapter 13, verse 15 to 17 of Revelation. And chapter 18 and verse 13, Babylon. And chapter 18, verse 2 and verse 3 of Revelation, slavery. Watch now. So since slavery is the end result, how can we roll out policies to enslave the masses? When there is something called the U.S. Constitution, how can we do it? We must create a problem, create a crisis. What will cause Americans to react and say, whatever it takes to protect, to give us safety and peace, we'll do it. We'll go along with it. What if we kill a lot of people? That is called human sacrifice. That's it. They manufactured the crisis. Then came the reaction. And now the same tyrants ruled out the solution. And Inspiration says, in volume 5, page 451, every principle of the U.S. Constitution will be repudiated. Will be repudiated. It began in 2001. Pause right there. I want you all to Google how many people died because of September 11, 2001. What was the media's initial count of those who perished when the towers fell? That's number one. How many people died afterward by by people who were diagnosed with black lung disease. Yeah, your lungs, black lung disease. Died as a result. How many? Human sacrifice to roll out the mark of the beast system. Next question. How many controversies have surrounded September 11, 2001? They showed us on the media aircraft, more than one, flying into two buildings. But what caused other buildings to fall? What caused the other buildings to fall? Were people in those buildings? And if not, why not? And if there were, how many? Human sacrifice, my friends. Okay, number 2. What is another event that was human sacrifice? For them to roll out the mark of the beast system, which is a removal of your civil rights and your religious rights. Of course, it was the pestilence 19 pandemic. Look at your screen, my friend, big and bold. On the screen, big and bold right here. How many people died because of that pestilence 19? How many died, my friends? Now, these are numbers that the media gave us. 7.1 million. But the number is much higher. 18 to 36 million people. That's it. That's it. In America, over 1 million, the media said. Why? Question. Were there statements, public statements made by some tyrants? The world is overpopulated. So we need to decrease the number of people in America and the world. Come on, talk to me. Were there public statements made by some tyrants before March 11, 2020 to May 11, 2023? March 11, May 11, 311, 511, September 11, 911. Why these numbers? Why? The dots are connected. Think. Human sacrifice. What happened to all of our rights and liberties? What happened to them in the pandemic? The mark of the beast system was rolled out. Not the mark of the beast, but a system. And they didn't care how many people died as a result. Human sacrifice. That's what that was. In my estimation, based on Bible, spirit of prophecy, and current events. If these points are clear, those who are live in the comment section, type in the words, a nail in a sure place. Are there any other incidents in America where humans were sacrificed to roll out America's tyrannical, barbaric agenda? I'll give you one more. How many of you recall Pearl Harbor? Google it. Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. Japan, World War II. What happened to America's military at Pearl Harbor? Stand down was the order. What happened? Americans died as a pretext, a justification for America entering World War II. Because naturally, Americans would not have supported their congressmen and women to give Mr. President, Vice President, authority to enter World War II. They were against the war. So we must create a problem to get the reaction so Americans would support we entering World War II. And my friends, who does the Bible call the man of war? Satan is the man of war. Daniel 8, the papacy is the man of war. Verse 23 to verse 25. 2 Thessalonians chapter, oh my friends, the man of war. Revelation 13, the papacy. Verse 3, verse 4, the man of war. Verse 7, verse 8, the man of war, the papacy. It was the papal agenda. Brothers and sisters, gentlemen and ladies, you all witnessed, those who were alive. You all witnessed as you read the history books and you watched the History Channel. You watched documentaries. That was human sacrifice, World War II. That was the papal agenda. And the papal agenda is connected to the pestilence 19, because Revelation 18 says in verse 23, Babylon peddles her sorcery. That word sorcery in the Greek lexicon, the Greek dictionary, means pharmakia, pharmacy, medicine, poison. It's the agenda of Babylon. Human sacrifice. Safe to serve. SDAs. First-time viewers. Wake up. This is one main reason when that news broke of the attack on the National Guard, I didn't cover it. Watch the perspective, Lord. I'm not simply reporting on news. What is the perspective, Lord? He gave it to me. And there are many, many more examples. Let's come full circle. You remember all these I just mentioned about the papacy, human sacrifice? May I ask a question now? Which agency does the media say the perpetrator of the attack on the U.S. National Guard was linked to? Catholics in Action? Catholic Intelligence Agency? And take the letters of all three words. First letter, what does that spell? Acronym? Come on, talk to me. The dots are connected if you want to see it. Now watch this. Beloved, to put the bow on the package for Midday Power Surge, to put the icing on the cake, to give you the crescendo of my lesson today, to put the nails in the coffin today, and lower the casket 6 feet deep, and throw dirt on the casket. Let worms eat the body of the tyrants. Let me bring you back to Bible and Bible history. Watch this. From which power did the papacy receive its power, seat, and great authority? Those who are alive, come on, talk to me. That was from the Roman Empire. Does anybody know which emperor killed Paul? The Apostle Paul? What was his name? His name was Emperor Nero. Don't forget this. In the DNA of the papacy is Rome, Roman Empire. Watch carefully now. Did Emperor Nero ever use human sacrifice to roll out a barbaric policy to kill the Christians? If so, that's the nail in their coffin. I have proven human sacrifice as a tool to implement the mark of the beast system. Watch this. Yes, let them see Pearl Harbor on the screen there, preacher. Left off your screen, over 2,000 people were wounded in Pearl Harbor. That's the number they give us. Huh? Pardon me. Over 2,000 died, and others, over 1,000 injured. Human sacrifice. Pearl Harbor. Move on from that. This is a picture of Emperor Nero. Emperor Nero. Watch this, friends. Watch this. I'm going to read a statement here. And preacher, give me double here. I want them to see Emperor Nero on the screen. This is from the book Acts of the Apostles, page 487. And Life and Teaching of Paul, LP, page 302 and page 303. Watch this. During Paul's imprisonment, the converts to Christianity had become so numerous as to attract the attention and arouse the enmity of the authorities. They feared the Christians' teachings. Folks were being converted from paganism, false worship. Next sentence. The anger of the emperor was especially excited by the conversion of members of his own household. And he soon found a pretext to make the Christians the objects of his merciless cruelty. Pause right there. The application for us, the Christians were calling people from Rome. The Christians were calling people from Babylon. Revelation 18, verse 1 through verse 4. So what happened will happen as we call people from Babylon. Do you see why we come to Midday Power Surge? Watch. Watch carefully. About this time, a terrible fire occurred in Rome, by which nearly 1/2 of the city was burned. I saw what that could look like when I went to Jamaica in person, Jared. In person, we saw parishes flattened like a pancake, as if a tornado swept through. We saw trees appear to have been burnt by fire, and there were no fire, simply a hurricane. May I continue? Nero himself, it was rumored, had caused the flames to be kindled. But to dismiss suspicion, he made a pretense of great generosity by assisting the homeless and destitute. Stop right there. Is that not what GC page 589 says? The very folks who claim to be a great philanthropist and give you goods and benefits are the ones that will bring disease and disaster until populous city are reduced to ruin and desolation. Let's continue. Satan, human agents. Continue. He was, however, accused of the crime. The people were excited and enraged. And in order to clear himself and to rid the city of a class whom he feared and hated, Nero turned the accusation upon the Christians. His device succeeded, and thousands of the followers of Christ, men, women, and children, were cruelly put to death. This man burnt down a city. Why? The end goal, to kill the Christians. Who lived in the city? People. Human sacrifice. Then came the reaction. Then came the so-called solution. Blame Christians. Kill the Christians. 100,000 perished. That's history, my friends. Brothers and sisters, gentlemen and ladies, are you seeing what's coming? Let's continue. In LP, page 302, watch carefully. The satanic device succeeded. Thousands of Christ followers, men, women, and children were put to death in the most cruel manner. Some were crucified. Some covered with the skins of wild beasts and torn in pieces by dogs. Others were clothed in garments of inflammable material and set on fire at night to illuminate the circus of the Vatican and the pleasure gardens of Nero. That's called a pause for emphasis. Yeah, sit up. Continue. Thus, this monster in human form amused the public by exhibiting his victims in the dying agonies, while he himself stood by, taking the keenest delight in their misery. Human sacrifice. But it began with people in the city of Rome. It ended with God's people. It began New York City, September 11. It began Pearl Harbor in the 1930s and 1940s. It began the pandemic, March 11, 2020. It began Washington, D.C., November 2025. It will end with God's commandment-keeping people. It will end with God's seventh-day Sabbath-keeping people. Proof. Tyrants will use, have used, will use human sacrifice to roll out the mark of the beast system. I don't care what you call me. Some of you are going to wish one day you could come to Midday Power Surge. It's going to be too late for you. May I continue? Just imagine people covered with inflammable materials and lit every night to illuminate the circus of the Vatican and the pleasure gardens of Nero? What? Let's continue. Degraded and hardened as were the Romans, and bitter as was their prejudice against the Christians, the constant repetition of these horrible, heart-sickening scenes excited even their compassion. End quote. Beloved, where are all these things tending? Give me 2 more minutes to bring you now to the close. We have hit the apex. If what I just said in the last 7 minutes to confirm my title and my theme, put in the comment section a nail in a sure place. Pastor, I see it. It's clear. Human sacrifice. The next one is going to be calamities. Could it be in the last days the tyrants are going to manufacture calamities, get the reaction, and then roll out the solution, the mark of the beast, and kill every single person that reject the mark of the beast? I'm going to quote for you now, Great Controversy, page 579. And then I'm going to come to Revelation 13. I open the phone line. You give me your feedback. We're out of here for Midday Power Surge. On the screen right here. Let me come here first. Stay right there, preacher. Stay right there. Let me come here first. That's Nero. Let me come here first. In the book Great Controversy, page 579, the red words say, with Protestant teachers, there is the same claim of divine authority for Sunday keeping and the same lack of scriptural evidence as with the papal leaders, watch now, who fabricated miracles. Who what? Who fabricated miracles to supply the place of a command from God. That means they manufactured calamities. Miracles in this sense means calamities. Just as in Revelation 13, verse 13, verse 14, the fire is called miracles. That fire deceives. Fire destroys. So the fire, the miracles point to calamities. They will manufacture calamities. The people are going to cry out, we'll do anything. We'll give up everything. Give us peace and safety. And they roll out the mark of the beast. That's it. The assertion that God's judgments, you see it now, are falling upon men for their violation of the Sunday Sabbath will be repeated. Already, it is beginning to be urged on a movement to enforce Sunday observance is fast gaining ground. Beloved, it's clear now. It's clear. Do you know that there's a link between Nero and us? Watch this. On page 40 in the book Great Controversy, red words on the top, Christians were falsely accused of the most dreadful crimes and labeled, declared to be the cause of great calamities, such as famine, pestilence, earthquakes. Lord have mercy. That was with Nero. And GC page 590 now says, seventh day Sabbath keeping people will be labeled as enemies of law and order, bringing God's judgments, the calamities, and preventing Americans and the world from being restored to divine favor and temporal prosperity. That's why it's a big deal. That's why I say it appears that what happened in DC was human sacrifice. Because I know what is coming. I know what's coming. The big deal is human sacrifice, reaction from the people, mark of the beast, and the mark of the beast system, and then human sacrifice again for God's people. 689-777-5198. In the Bible, do you find human sacrifices? What point stood out to you today? Call in. Give me your feedback. Do you all remember Jesus? Did they crucify Jesus to preserve their nation and country? Put that down. John chapter 11, verse 47 through verse 53. The leaders of the nation were guilty of human sacrifice in a secondary sense. They crucified Jesus to save their nation and country. But in doing so, they lost both in AD 70. It's coming for God's people in the last days. And if nobody has any word to share, don't want to call in, I'm going to pray at this time. And then we're out of here. But remember, don't you forget, when you see Nero, let's get the fire back on the screen, preacher. Get the fire back on the screen here. they won't forget it. Nero, don't forget it, friends. Don't forget it. Don't forget it.